So it's now been a year and a half since the fires, and I just just for posterity's sake, wanted to do an episode on just what's happening in Altadena. And I was originally thinking I was going to sort of tackle all of what's happening in Altadena. And then I started driving around and I realized that's impossible. So I'm just going to focus on our general area, neighborhood, street. So here we go. So one thing I found very interesting as I've driven around is just all the different types of building that's going on. So like there's your typical wood frame foundation. There's your slab foundation like ours. There's the raised foundation, which is what our house used to be. I've seen houses made out of cinder block. I've seen them out of metal framing. I've seen them 3D printed house. I've seen modular homes and a combination of all of these. Once again, there's no one way to build a house. And I just love how there are so many different solutions to the same problem. So Altadena has always been a little quirky. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got sort of like a funky artistic vibe. It's got old money. It's got new money. It's got no money. And that's what made Altadena, was that it was sort of a hodgepodge of all sorts of things. It was definitely not a cookie cutter master plan suburban sort of community. There was just all these different styles that all seemed to work together. And after the fire, I think I've mentioned this in earlier episodes. My one fear, if you will, was that people rebuilding were going to just pick sort of the least common denominator and just take the easy route and just build some really vanilla looking homes. But you know what? I don't think that's going to happen. So it's a little too early to come up with a conclusion as to what Altadena is going to look like after the fact. But I think it's pretty much going to be what we had before, just newer homes. And with all the new buildings that I've seen going up in the last 6 months, if you will, I mean, I've seen every different type of style. I've seen ranch style, traditional, Spanish, colonial, mid-century. Now, there's one style that I personally like, is that sort of modern minimalistic style, which is sort of mid-century, but it's definitely more modern. I love it. I wish I could have a house like that. I wish I could have a second house like that. I just don't know if it really fits in with this community, but I'm just one man with one opinion. I'm not worried about it. It's just going to take me a little while to get used to seeing that sort of interspersed. But you know what? Altadena is going to be a new community. It's not completely new because there's still a lot of homes that survived the fire. But I think I'll speak for all of us. I think we're on a good path, just from what I've seen with my eyes as I drive through the neighborhood. So on our street, before our block, before the fire, there were 26 lots. One of the lots was sort of like a multi-apartment complex, but the rest were all single residential homes. So 26 lots that I just counted. There's 9 lots that have some sort of building going on right now. And I'm going to include grading with that. But that's 9 houses. And if I do the math, carry the 3, that's about a third of the street that is currently building. There's just a lot of construction going on right now. And what's funny is 8 of those 9 houses are all on our end of the street. So it looks like a lot's going on. In fact, when I come down here to drop something off, I have trouble finding parking near my house. I have to walk quite a distance to get to the house. So that's a good thing. I'm not complaining. This is just a guesstimate. I would say 10% of Altadena is being currently built right now. Now, I wish that number was higher, but honestly, Chris and we were driving through last week, And we both said it at the same time. It's a good thing that it's not more than what it is, because right now it's sort of a logistical nightmare. There are trucks everywhere. There's detours after every street. So if even 50% of the people were rebuilding right now, it would be a mess. So it's probably better than it's going to take a couple of years to do all this, to space it out a little bit. There are so many trucks in Altadena right now. There are dump trucks. There are pickup trucks. There are cement trucks. Food trucks. A lot of trucks. A lot of white trucks. But trucks mean progress. So I'm totally down with the trucks. Except for there's a lot. So as you can see, as I walk down the street, this first house is actually, we found out, is being built by a developer, and he bought like 25 lots. Now that's sort of what everyone's really upset about with Altadena, is that, it's sort of like a land grab, and these developers are coming in. I think more than what the concern is that they're building, say, 5 buildings on a lot that used to have 1 house. That's more the issue. I don't have a problem with this guy. So basically, this guy has rented a warehouse. He bought enough materials for 25 homes. They're all roughly the same. They all have the same finishes, same roof, same paint, same whatever. And so it's basically like he's building model homes, and they're spread out all through Altadena. And then you don't really have a say in what you're getting. It's as is. But a lot of people, that's what they want. That would not work for us. Not even close if you've watched any of these episodes. But for some people, that's exactly what they want, and that's what they need. So great. Welcome. Our neighbors to the east of us are now building. The neighbor to the west of us is grading. But as you can see, going down the street, there's grading, there's framing. You can even see past the street onto the streets behind, and you can see framing going on there. So it's just not our street. So this is really sort of a hub of activity right now, and I'm all for it. So one thing about Altadena is, you may not understand or didn't know, is that we're unincorporated. So that means, roughly, we're still part of LA County, but we're not a city. So we don't have a mayor. So instead of a mayor, we have a town council. We don't have a police force. We contract with the LA County Sheriff Department. We don't have a fire department. We have LA County Fire. We have a water company. Our electric company is SoCal Edison. So we basically contract all of those municipal sort of needs, but you'd never know it. I've lived in different places, and this doesn't feel any different than any other place I've lived. But being unincorporated has its perks. So I'm guessing there are some cons to being unincorporated, but from what I've seen, and in regards to the rebuild, being unincorporated has removed one level of bureaucracy out of the picture. And trust me, I'm very happy with that. And that, in my opinion, is why Altadena, among other factors, is much farther along in the rebuild process than the Palisades or Malibu, because we don't have a city government also trying to regulate what's going on. It's just the county. If you've seen my previous episodes, I'm not really super happy with the county, but trust me, with one less level of red tape, it's made this process much better. And at first, I think right after the fire, being unincorporated might have been a little bit of a con, because they weren't ready to process 6,000 homes being, disappearing overnight. But over time, I think it's worked to our benefit for sure. So let's stay unincorporated. I've heard talk of we should become a city, and it's like, no. At least not until everyone's rebuilt. Let's not even talk about that yet. So again, one man's opinion. Case in point, I've lived in Pasadena. I owned a house in Pasadena. Pasadena is great. It's beautiful, but you can't do anything without jumping through hoops and just layers of red tape. And God forbid you live in a historical area. So as nice as Pasadena is, let me tell you a little secret. Altadena is really nice too. And you drive through Altadena right now, it's a shell of its former self, but we're going to get there. I'm encouraged with what I've seen in the last year and a half, and I'm just looking forward to what's going to be happening in the next coming months and years.